Hey, what's good everybody? It's your boy Krypts here. We're back with another video, and in today's video, we're gonna be releasing a long sought after video that I've been really wanting to make for a while now. A Diluc complete guide slash artifact build slash whatever you want to call it, just a complete Diluc guide. So if you haven't known already, I've been rocking Diluc since the very beginning of the game. He was my very first 5-star. And as soon as the game came out, I saw Diluc and I knew I wanted Diluc right away. And I finally am going to be putting up a video about Diluc, and I'm very excited because he is my favorite. Well, I guess Zhongli is technically my favorite character, a second favorite character. They're pretty neck and neck when it comes to favorite character. But Diluc, I've been rocking since the beginning of time. He's been carrying me this whole Genshin, my whole Genshin adventure. Everything's just been really easy to me because I have Diluc. And when I first got to 4-star artifacts, when I got 5, he was the first character I used 5-star artifacts on, and I didn't really care about substats or anything. I just cared about getting the 5-star artifact, right? So he didn't have the greatest stats, and even till right now, he doesn't have the best stats, the most optimal stats that I want to show you in the video, but he's pretty good enough, and I'm gonna be showcasing him today. I'm talking about Diluc and everything you need to know to build your own Diluc. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So Diluc is when he first came on the game, he was considered the best character in the game. Now, so I'll still put him top 3 best character in the game. You could argue Child could technically be the better character, or even Kaching or whatever, damage wise, but Diluc is just all around the king for me. I think he's the best character in the game, in my opinion. It is kind of biased, I guess, but even if it's not biased, you could argue Diluc being the best character in the game, right? Just all around, right? So these are the stats I'm rocking with Diluc. He has a 154 crit damage, which is amazing. But my crit rate on my Diluc, I'm still working on, and I will. You want to optimally get it at around 60 to 70%, and then keep the crit damage at 150 if you can. That's like the perfect stats in my opinion. But at the moment, I'm rocking a 26% crit rate. He comes with a 5% crit rate. So you kind of have to build a lot of crit rate onto Diluc, and I'm just not getting really lucky with my drops so far. So there's that. He has a basically 20,000 max XP, almost a 2,500 attack, the defense at 800, elemental masteries at 56, was not too bad, and I maxed his friendship up, so you can tell that I've been using him at the beginning of time. So yeah, let's get going. Anyways, we're gonna talk about his weapons first. So the best weapon for Diluc is by far the Wolf's Gravestone. Nothing can compare to the Wolf's Gravestone. You can also run the prototype Aminus, which I think I have. Yes, you can run the prototype Aminus as well if you don't have the Wolf Gravestone, which I assume most people won't have. I did summon on the banner that it came out, and I actually got it to refinement rank 2, which is a great rank. I'm pretty happy with that. With the Wolf's Gravestone, it has attack percentage, also is a legendary, so it's a good base attack. Increases attack by 25% on each hit, on hit against enemies with less than 30% HP. And it also increases all the party members' attack by 50% for 12 seconds. So it's a very good sword for damage booster for Diluc, and it's also a good support sword. Just those numbers itself on refinement rank 2 is amazing. Just think about like max refinement. The stats are amazing for sure, but of course not many of us are going to have the Wolf's Gravestone, so obviously running the prototype Aminus is definitely recommended. Everyone should be able to get a prototype Aminus. Refinement ranks could be difficult because obviously drops are very rare, because you need the materials from the dragon drop. Also the Wolf drops it, and I think Child drops it, the Child boss, but I'm not pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that he does, but definitely the prototype Aminus is definitely a good replacement for the Wolf's Gravestone. And then other than that, I don't really think there's any other swords that I recommend for Diluc. I guess you just, yeah, I mean, you could run the Skyrider Greatsword, but other than that, I think the prototype Aminus is the best free to play sword, and I think most of us are able to get a prototype Aminus, right? So when it comes to weapons, Wolf's Gravestone definitely top tier, number 1 for sure. Talking about artifacts, there's only one endgame set that you should only think about, and it's the Crimson Witch of Flames. Some people can argue you can use Gladiator set, but I think Crimson Witch of Flames is by far the best artifact set endgame, period. Beginning of the game, you can run a Berserker set with Diluc. Berserker set is definitely fine. I ran Berserker early game with Diluc before I can unlock the Crimson Witch. So yeah, Berserker set perfectly fine for building Diluc at the beginning. But when it comes to end game, you want to focus on Crimson Witch for sure. So when it comes to stats, you want to focus on attack percentage, obviously. The goblet, if you can, obviously it's going to be difficult because I only have one of these. I think I've only got this once. Maybe I might have used, because I sometimes use legendary artifacts to enhance, so I might have enhanced some pyro damage bonus, but pyro damage bonus for the goblet is what you want to go for sure. Obviously my substats on it aren't the greatest. The 14% attack is pretty decent, but of course, in a greater world, better world, you would want crit rate, crit damage on your substats for this. But just rock what you have when it comes to pyro damage. You really do want that pyro damage for the goblet. So you know, just rock with what you have until you get a better job. Because usually with everything else, flower, feather, hourglass, and crown, you want to run 4 Crimson Witch. And then goblets, it can be any set you want. It can be that odd man out set. That's usually what the goblet's for. So you can honestly be rocking, like, for example, a Noblesse Oblige. It doesn't matter. Just all it matters if you got pyro damage bonus and good substats, right? When it comes to the crown, you want to focus on crit damage or crit rate. One of the two works perfectly fine. For me, I did want a crit rate, but obviously my drop hasn't been the greatest. So I am rocking a crit damage. It has good energy recharge, no crit rate, has a good attack percentage on this particular crown. But I don't have a crit rate main stat. But if I do get a crit rate main stat, I might change this crit damage one to a crit rate percentage, since my crit rate is low. And then because I already have this one, which has a 25% crit damage substat. So I'm most likely, as soon as I get a crit rate crown, I'll probably switch it out and then give this one to Klee most likely. But for the crown, yes, you do want to rock crit rate or crit damage as your main stat. For the hourglass attack percentage, you don't really need energy recharge or elemental mastery for your main stat. Diluc gets his ultimate very quickly. He generates a lot of particles for him to get his ultimate. So energy recharge is not the most important thing for main stats. For substats, if you get energy recharge as a bonus, sure, go for it. I would say energy recharge for Diluc is kind of like the 4th most important, right? You kind of don't really need it. Diluc, like I said, generates his ultimate very quickly. As if you use Diluc, you understand that he gets his ultimate very fast, right? So you don't need an energy recharge. If you get it as your substat, then sure, that's a good bonus. But other than that, nope. And then substats, I've kind of, you know, mentioned this throughout this artifact guide. Crit damage, crit rate, crit damage, crit rate. You just want to go crit rate, crit damage. I'll say focus on crit rate first, and then crit damage after. If you get both in both substats, that's great. But obviously, I know some of us could be low on resin, so crit rate and then just have a decent crit damage. Like I said, if I go back to his main stat, you know, in a perfect world, 60 to 150, right? But if you're not really investing too much, a crit rate of 40 or 50 and then crit damage of 110, honestly, I would say that's pretty even. That's pretty fair, right? You want to optimize him as much as you can, but I feel like that's not too high of a number and can be easily achieved for most of us, right? So when it comes to that, for sure, go for that. And then attack percentage, obviously, as the 3rd most important, and then I would say maybe energy recharge or maybe base attack as your 4th most important substat. But other than that, crit damage by far for sure the most important when it comes to Diluc substat artifacts. And then with the talking about the Crimson Witch of Flames, the set bonus. So the 2-piece set gives it a pyro damage bonus by 15%, which is by far amazing. That 15% is very good. But the 4-piece set is where it really gets crazy. Increases overload and burning damage by 40%, and it increases vaporize and melt damage by 15%. Using an elemental skill, increases 2-piece set effects by 50%. Oh my goodness, this set is literally made for Diluc. So basically, talking about the overload and burning, if you rock a electro character, wink wink hint hint, Fisho, best duo when it comes to Diluc, overload damage does 40%, including that 15% pyro, including that 50% stack. So the damage is nuts when it comes to overload. Obviously, overload is kind of controversial because I know overload, sometimes when you hit the enemy, they go flying, so you can't really, you know, juggle them or like kind of hit them constantly, because sometimes some mobs, they do fly off and it's kind of hard to hit them consistently. But when it comes to straight up damage, especially like, let's say like the bigger monsters, overload is definitely the best way to deal big damage. And then also the second part of the 4-piece set, using his elemental skill, increases his effects by 50%. So 15 plus 50, if you do the math, that is 65% pyro damage. So yeah, that is insane damage. Like I said, this set is the set you want to go for end game, and it's the set when it comes to building Diluc. Constellations, in my opinion, obviously, I only have one. To be honest, to me, I feel like just having one constellation is just lucky enough. But I will go through the constellation of Diluc. So, Constellation 1, Diluc deals 15% more damage to enemies whose HP is above 50%. So basically, full HP enemies, you can basically, you know, put down their HP to below 50% very quickly. Sorry, I can't speak. Right, so there's that. Constellation 2, Diluc takes damage. His attack increased by 10% and his attack speed increased by 5%. Lasts for 10 seconds. The effects can stack up to 3 times and can only occur every 1.5 seconds. Constellation 2, Diluc is insane. Optimal, you know, Constellation. Obviously, you want it maxed out, but optimal, if you can get him Constellation 2, which I really hope I can get eventually. Yeah, that's really good. His Constellation 2 is really good. Constellation 3 levels up you can upgrade his E faster. Constellation 4, casting his E, Searing Onslaught is his E. In sequence, greatly increased damage dealt within 2 seconds of using Searing Onslaught. Casting the next Searing Onslaught in the next combo deals 40% additional damage. So the more you use your E, the more damage it causes over time. Constellation 5, his ultimate, you can level up more when it comes to talents, and his max constellation is after he casts his E, his Searing Onslaught, the next 2 normal attacks within the next 6 seconds will have their damage and attack speed increased by 30%. Additionally, Searing Onslaught will not interrupt the normal attack combo. So Diluc at max constellation is a beast. He's honestly, everything is just, you know, attack percentage increase, you know, everything, just his attack just gets stronger and stronger. His DPS is insane. I've seen people done like 300k damage with Diluc. Mine personally doesn't do that much damage. I haven't really maximized his build. So yeah, there's that. But Constellation 0, Diluc works perfectly fine. Trust me, you don't need Constellation on Diluc for him to be a beast. He's still one of the best characters, 0 Constellation, so don't worry about that. Okay, so talking about his talents here, his normal attack, his E, his ultimate, obviously you gotta level up his talents as much as you can. What I would recommend leveling up first would probably be his Searing Onslaught, because I use this the most. His ultimate, like I said, just get everything to level 6, right? Obviously, and then as soon as you hit the you know, the gold books, I would say go for the E as the most important one. I think it's the one you should go for when it comes to talent level up with the gold books. And then obviously you want to get your attack up. But yeah, his Searing Onslaught is, I would say, I would prioritize this the most, but try to, even it out, level each talent, together, right? So yeah, that's really about his talents. His passive, his charge attack, his stamina cost is decreased by 50%. His other passive, the power enhancement provided by Dawn lasts for 4 seconds. Additionally, Diluc gains again 20% prior damage bonus. Just yeah, and then his other third pass is just refund ores when using crafting claymores into the forgery. So when it comes to talents, I would say the Searing Onslaught you want to focus on the most. Other than that, I would say just level everything up evenly. I always say this with every character. Every character, when you're leveling up their talent, I recommend leveling them up evenly, right? So that's what I recommend. So when it comes to optimal team builds with Diluc, honestly, I ran random teams when it comes to playing with Diluc. You can run pretty much anything, and Diluc just works perfectly fine, right? But when it comes to optimizing Diluc at his best, there are definitely options that you should go for, right? So in my opinion, I think Diluc and Bennett, the best 2 combo in the game, in my opinion. Bennett's ultimate, just his utility support usage is just amazing with Diluc. And then you can pair that up with, I would say Mona or Fischl as the second slot. And then you can run either Chi-Chi here as your healer, or if you don't need a healer, you can run Venti. Obviously, every team's going to have a healer, so you're going to run a healer, right? So you probably would replace Venti. But the usual team I do run with is either Fischl or Mona in this second slot. And then I usually run Chi-Chi. This is probably the best optimal team, all-around team, in my opinion. Obviously, running with Bennett will definitely make Diluc better, but just all around, this is just an all-around better team for me. Like I said, you can run Fischl, or you can run Mona, or if you really do want to, you could just run it like this, right? For me, the reason why I like Venti so much is because her ultimate, well, my Venti is Constellation 3, so that's why I like Venti a lot, right? So because he's Constellation 3, he does a lot more for me than maybe for others people Ventis. What I usually do, I usually use Venti ultimate, and then usually I would run Fischl. I run Fischl, use Fischl's Oz. And then after I use Fischl Oz, I turn into Diluc, and after doing all that, I still have Venti's ult activated, and then I put pyro damage into the Venti ult. So you have a Nemo. You couldn't even put in Chi-Chi's. If you're healing with Chi-Chi, you can put Ice, Kyro elemental reactions there, and then you put Electro, and then you put Diluc. It's just damage is just there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just all around good. But to optimize Diluc the best, for sure you're gonna have to have Bennett. And you probably will run a healer instead of Venti, so you probably run Chi-Chi, right? This is probably the best optimal team for Diluc to maximize Diluc's potential and damage, right? Like I said, Mona works perfectly fine with Diluc as well. I really do like Mona recently, and I think she is really good. But I could run Fischl because the overload 40% damage does a lot of damage, right? So all in all, just kind of play around what you feel comfortable with, right? This is always here, this elemental resonance, right? So if you want that attack percentage by 25, or what I'm saying. So a lot of teams do work with Diluc is very easy to apply into your teams, so don't really overthink about it too much. Just kind of focus on what makes you comfortable using Diluc and what is the best for your team. So all in all, Diluc overall is one of the best characters in the game, if not the best character in the game, arguably. If built correctly, this guy can do insane damage, and optimized to the perfect team, again, he can do insane damage, right? So I've seen big time damage with Diluc. Obviously, you gotta get the perfect crit rate, crit damage, all that sort. So there's also that into factor as well. So Diluc, obviously a lot of people really do like Diluc, and I assume a lot of people want to get Diluc on their team, right? He is, you gotta get lucky with your summons to get Diluc, but all in all, Diluc is by far the one of the best characters in the game. Top 3 for sure, for sure. But anyways, that's hopefully this video helps you out on building a Diluc. I've been really wanting to make this video in a while, so hopefully this video will help you out. Please make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Really appreciate the support so far. Just keep it up, and I'll keep on putting out daily content for y'all. Hit that bell notification, notifies you whenever I put up video, and that's gonna be it for me. Peace.